So in last class, we seen about what is Snowflake, okay, and it is a SaaS model. No need to install anything. Okay, we can we can create an online account and we can start using, and it is like pay as use model and having separate layers. So separate layers like database storage layer, query compute layer, and the cloud services layer. So when we are running the query in the compute layer, it won't affected by the database storage layer. So that is like a multi-cluster architecture we have. So multi-cluster, so warehouse. So remember this point, having separate layers. It won't database storage layer, it won't depend on compute layer, and compute layer it won't depend on database storage layer. So having separate layers. Then we seen about three layers. Then micro partitions. So micro partitions. Then what is like virtual warehouse setup, multiple computers having RAM, SSD, memory, CPU, power. Okay, it is like compute engine, compute layer. Then query cloning, so it won't scan the unnecessary data, it will scan only relevant data only. And the cluster key, so we need to apply on a table, on a large table. So on which column we're going to use repeatedly in the query. Cluster key and vertical scaling, like in this we have scale up, increasing warehouse size, scale down, increasing decreasing warehouse size, and horizontal scaling. Horizontal scaling, it is like scale out, adding clusters, and scaling, removing the clusters. So these are we discussed in the last class. Okay, so now we're going to discuss about today. So zero copy cloning. Okay, it's nothing but, so for backup we're going to use the zero copy clone backup data. So one whenever we're receiving data from STD Snowflake, so those data we need to backup as a original data to maintain data consistency. So we need to backup the data. Further, we're going to use zero copy cloning. What? So we can clone the data. So without duplication. It means so there is a table called like employee. So having like 1 million rows. So then we can create one more table, employee clone table. So this is also having 1 million rows, but this is not duplicate data. This is original data. So so it's not like cloning is not like copy. It is clone like original data only. Original data without duplication. Okay. So here what we're going to see. Okay, we're going to see about city as how to create table, table syntax it is. Then we're going to see about like. Then we're going to see about clone. Then what are the difference between these three? Then after base table and clone table, what is happening? Okay, so we're going to this one. Okay, so first I'm creating one table for this one. Selecting one SQL file. Okay, so already we have one database. Okay, raw database. So for this, I'm going to create one scheme. Create schema. Okay. Clone. So schema name is clone. This one. Okay. So now use schema clone scheme. Okay, we can run this command or we can select from this point. So refresh this one. So then still going to refresh. So now we can see clone schema. By default, we have public and shop schema we created yesterday. Okay, so this one. Next, what I'm going to create one EMP table. Create table. So EMP like ID, int, and constraint I'm giving primary key, okay, and name varchar. So I'm giving constraint not null. Then salary I'm giving like float. I'm giving the float. This one. So just create. Okay. So then go with insert some data. So insert into EMP values. So like 1 and a some sum. Two. Checker ఇక్కడ then start from EMP. So this is the table, okay? ID name salary. So how to suppose we don't have this syntax, this create syntax. So how to get it from this table? So there is like one DDL select DDL and give like table create EMP. It's going to give the table definition like this. Okay, create or replace syntax. Copy this one. For every table, if you want to get the complete syntax, you can see for this. Okay. So create or replace table EMP, ID number, not null, name varchar, not null, salary, float, and primary key, and for ID we keep. Okay. So this is length of varchar. Length of varchar we can give. Okay. By default, we don't need to mention. By default, it will take this is the length of the varchar. Okay. For number 30, 38, 0. This is length of float and for ID it won't. For float it won't give anything. Okay, this one. So this is usually how to get any previous table. We can using get TDL. So we can get the syntax. We can get like this. Describe table name employee. So this is also give like this data. So what is the column name and what is the data type? So kind, not null, null. So constraints, default or primary key, need key, check, expression, comment, okay. So those details. So we can see from this one directly. So this is this link పెట్టమంటారా పెడుతున్నా లింక్ పెట్టాలా
ల్యాప్టాప్ లో చూస్తూ అదే చేసేది చూస్తుంటాను.
1 minute. ఇక్కడ ఉంది మీరు రేణు కదా పెట్టాను వాళ్ళ ఫార్వర్డ్ చేసి. So this is how to describe the table, and we want to get TDL. So it will give the this definition. From this describing directly we can see name, type, kind. Okay, now this is how to describe the table. So this is now this EMP is the our base table. So then I'm going to use like CTS, create a syntax. So now I'm going to create one more table using CTS. Okay, create table EMP here. So add keyword, then select star from EMP. So I created one more table EMP CTS. Now try to check data in this table. Select star of EMP CTS. So when we use GTS, so we can see data inside EMCDS table also, same data. So what we have in the table, in EMP table, so same data we can see in the CDS table. So for EMP table having the data, this CDS table has the data. So now we're going to describe the this EMP CDS. Okay, select get DDL of to table, then EMP CDS. So now describe it. So this is the description. After describing, we can see this data. So just copy, see, compare with this. So base table having the like not null, and primary key, but it is not copying the constraints. Okay, it is cloning. It is copying only table structure. Okay, table structure like ID, name, salary, and the table data. Table data we are getting, but it's not copying the table constraints like not null, and primary key. It's not copying only copying the only data. So when we use CTS, so it will only give the data and table structure, not constraints. Then using like so create table EMP like so like of EMP. So this one. Now check the data inside this EMP. Select star from EMP like. So this table given only table structure ID, name, salary. So it's not copy the data. So this is difference. When we use CTS, it's going to give the data and the table structure. So no constraints. But here it giving the only table structure. So there is no data. Now select the get TDL. Okay, table, then EMP like. So when we use like it giving the completely constraints also we can check. Okay, constraints. See, we have not null, and the primary key. Okay, so it completely copying the table structure and table constraints, but there is no data. So that is difference between CTS and like. So now we go with cloning. Constraints table definition. Table label. Suppose you have one ID. Okay, ID data type is int number you need to give, but side we need to define what is that ID, like it is primary key or default key. Suppose so everyone have one unique ID, right? Employee ID or in class roll number. Okay, suppose hall ticket number, that is your only for you only, right? So for that we need to give the primary key. So for not null, suppose you are applying for anything, you are going to bank, you are applying. So there is 100% you need to give your name, right? Okay. For that in that scenario, we need to give the not null. Must and should you need to provide your name. So that's one not null. Like that, we have some constraints. Okay. So like default, foreign key. Okay. Unique key. Like that. Those are constraints. Okay. Okay. So come to this one. Okay. This is like when we use CTS, so it is giving only ఒక సిస్టమ్ డిస్కనెక్ట్ చేయండి మీరు ఒక దాంట్లో చూడండి ఒక సిస్టమ్ డిస్కనెక్ట్ చేయండి మొబైల్స్ ఒక దాంట్లో వన్ సెకండ్ లోడింగ్స్ సో ఆల్వేస్ ఓకే this is on top you have your latest worksheet. So now check. Okay. So when we are using CTS, it's copying only table structure, table data, and no constraints. For using like it's copying like table structure constraints, but there is no data. So now we use zero copy cloning. Here we can call cloning. Okay, we can call zero copy cloning. Both are same. Don't confuse two. So both are same. Cloning and zero copy cloning. Why we are calling zero copy cloning means so no cost from that, and there is no duplication data. So use this word when they ask about zero copy cloning. So we need to use the some specific word. So they will expect from you. So without duplicate data, so we can clone the data. Okay, I'm using now clone create table emp clone. So simple just clone it, then table name. What you want to clone? You can clone the database, schemas, tables. So table will be cloned successfully created. Now check the data inside the table. Select star from emp clone. So now we have ID names, valid. We have data. Now the check get DDL table. So now emp clone. This. So now we have table definition, copy. Okay. So empty clone. Now we have table structure, constraints not null, and primary key. Okay, this is like so when we use CTRs, it will only giving the data, table structure, no constraints. When we use like table structure and constraints, but here we are getting everything. Clone, table structure, constraints, and data. So now I will explain. So usually we have one is like this is EMP is base table. For this we have DDL means table definition constraints. So we have constraints with table definition or table structure, and we have constraints. Then data. We have the data, and for this we have storage, and for this we have storage cost. So this is base table. So now come to the this one, EMP, like when we use the EMP, like, so we have this one, EMP CTS table. When we use CTS, so it's going to have the again DDL plus no constraints. Plus we have data. So when we have data, so there will be storage and storage cost for this using AMP CTS. Now we are going to use light. So here, so we have DDL. DDL is table definition or table structure, and we have constraints, right? No data, no data. So there is no data, no storage. So no storage cost, no storage cost. Okay. Then we have clone table, EM clone table. Okay, this is the advantage. Okay. See, we have everything DDL, okay, and constraints and data. So even we have data, so no storage, and no storage cost. No storage cost. This is the like EMP cloud. DDL constraints data, but no storage, no storage cost. Even we have millions of rows in the table, so we don't have the storage and no storage cost. Okay, this is one advantage feature in the Snowflake. Okay, so now I'm going to some inserting data like select star from EMP. So I have three rows and cloning table. This is clone table. Select star from EMP clone. So now I have this data. So now I'm going to insert one row. Insert into EMP values like 4 and D. Then insert. So okay, this one. Check in the data. So now check in the EMP table. So now we have data. 4 rows here we have. Okay. So now check data in the clone table. So we don't have the this one. Means what it means, like after cloning, if you insert any data into the in base table, so it won't affect in the clone table. So after cloning, both tables are independent. After cloning, both tables are independent. Here, now try to insert data in uh, this clone table. 5 and so now check this clone table. So we have this row. What check in the EMP table? So you don't have this. It means after cloning, both tables are independent. Okay, it won't. If you insert any data in one table, it's not going to affect in the another table. Even if you delete that data, or even if you update the data, it won't affect in the other table. This is we need to say interview. They will ask. Okay, so after cloning, so both tables are independent. Independent. Remember this point. Okay. So but usually this EMB table, if you run any queries like select star from table name, okay, where ID equal to 1. Okay, so on base table I'm running query select star from EMP where ID equal to 1. So now this is like compute, right? This one query I'm running for this what we are running for this query we need to pay. Okay, so that we can call compute cost. Compute cost. So we have here for every table for EMP table we have compute cost. Okay, then when using CTS, if you run any queries, we have So here also we have compute cost. We have compute cost. So for EMP like we don't have the data. Suppose if you insert any new data, then if you run any query, then it will have a compute cost. So even if you run a clone table, so it will also have the compute cost. Okay. So no storage cost. They will ask. So is clone table having the compute cost or not? Yes, clone table having the compute cost. Okay. Then so after cloning, if you insert any data in base table or if you insert any data in clone table, it won't affect in the another table or base table or clone table. So after cloning, both tables are independent. So this
బేస్ టేబుల్ చేంజ్ చేసేసినప్పుడు క్లోన్ టేబుల్ కి స్టోరేజ్ ఉంటుంది అప్పుడు
explain చేస్తాను కంప్లీట్ ఎక్స్ప్లెయిన్ చేస్తాను. ఓకే దిస్ వన్ బేస్ టేబుల్ లో ఏమైనా చేంజెస్ చేస్తే క్లోన్ టేబుల్ స్టోరేజ్ ఉంటుందా?
ఇన్స్టాల్ ఉండదు కదా.
బేస్ టేబుల్ నువ్వు ఏం చేంజ్ చేసినా క్లోన్ టేబుల్ కి స్టోరేజ్ ఉండదు.
క్లోన్ టేబుల్ కాస్ట్ ఉంటుంది
ఉండదు.
టేబుల్ ఒక 10 రోజు 100 రోజు క్లోన్ చేస్తుంది. ఒక టేబుల్ 3 డేస్ దాని కాస్ట్ ఏమి ఉండదు.
ఉండదు.
పేజ్ టేబుల్ చేంజ్ చేసిన తర్వాత పేజ్ కి దానికి సంబంధం ఉండదు.
ఉండదు.
ఇక్కడ చేస్తే ఇక్కడ రిఫ్లెక్ట్ అవ్వదు. కానీ ఇక్కడ కంప్యూట్ కాస్ట్ పెట్టారు.
Compute cost is nothing but if you are running any queries, you're finding using like rank, dense rank, or you are doing some transformation, then it will have the cost.
Okay.
Okay. So after cloning, both things are independent. Okay. So if you insert any data, it's going to not going to affect in the another table. If you insert any data, not going to affect in another table. Okay. So after cloning, both things are independent. Clone table have compute cost. If you run any queries, it going to cost you. Then if we do any DML operations, so what are the DML operations? Insert,
Update,
delete, update. Okay. So if you do any DML operations, then clone table have storage and storage cost for the data only. So now I inserted one new row in this clone table. Okay, this clone table. Okay, here. So these 1, 2, 3, okay, these data, these 3 rows don't have the storage and storage cost, but this one have the storage and storage cost. Remember this point. Okay, the cloning both of them having the storage and storage cost. Okay, suppose they will ask me, okay, how the clone table going to fetch the data. Okay, even you don't have the storage and storage cost. So when we clone the table, so and in this clone table, when we clone the table, it's going to have the metadata, the cloud services layers. Okay, there is an when we are explaining about cloud layer, there is one metadata.
Yes.
So those metadata. So in the format of it going to store in the metadata. Okay. So EMP having the micro partitions. Micro partition, the data going to store in the micro partitions. Okay. So when this clone table going to fetch data from the base table, metadata. Base table, so metadata. So usually what is happening here? So Snowflake, they used to tell, okay, we are giving zero copy. In future, you can clone the data, no story, no story custom. But behind, they will maintain, they're going to maintain one table. Okay, for EMP table, they are already maintain the partitions. But when clone table, they are going to maintain the metadata in the cloud services layer. Literally, they are maintaining for 3 tables.
We won't store in micro-partition.
Yeah. So literally there are many 3 tables, but they used to tell. So that means that they to them like they give feature. They need to give one feature, right? Then everyone try to use it properly. So literally they will maintain EMP micro-part and EMP table data and micro partitions and metadata and this. So from metadata, you will take 1 3. This one. Okay, it means how are you going to fetch the data? From the base table, partitions, or metadata. From that, the data we can fetch. It's going to fetch. If you run the query on the clone table, select star from table name where id equal to 1, it's going to fetch the data from. So base table, partitions, metadata. So now what I'm doing, so I'm dropping the table. So drop table emp. Okay. Still is clone table having the data or not? Still is clone table having data or not?
I'm leaving time. No.
So if you drop the base table, still clone table having the data. Can check.
Because once we change the base table, the both are independent.
See. So see confirmation error. Object emp does not exist or not authorized. But still we have data in the clone table. Okay. Still they will ask. Okay. So we have right. So we are dropping the table emp table drop. So it's going to last micro partitions. Micro partitions. Then how it going to fetch the data? It means still we have metadata in cloud services layer. Okay, cloud services layer. These are include parts. Okay, and still we have metadata in the cloud services layer. From that, it's going to fetch the data, the clone table. Okay, clear? Clear? Even if you drop the EMP table, so they will ask how the clone table going to fetch the data. Even if drop, so the micro partitions also going to drop, right? Then how it going to fetch the data? So from the metadata in cloud services layer we have metadata. So we have one copy already. From that it's going to fetch the data. Okay.
Clone table, normal table, రెండు ఒకటే partition కి
గట్టి మాట్లాడు.
రెండు tables, clone table, normal table, both tables point to the same micro partition before. After cloning also. If we delete that main table, like
చెప్పు గట్టిగా.
అదే రెండు టేబుల్స్ ఒకటే దానికి రెండు టేబుల్స్ ఉన్నాయి కదా రెండు ఒకటే దానికి పార్టీషన్స్ కి సేవ్ చేసి ఉన్నాయి. ఓకే, మనం ఇది ఫెచ్ చేసిన సేమ్ మైక్రో పార్టీషన్ నుంచి డేటా వస్తుంది. ఇప్పుడు మనం ఎక్స్ట్రా రోస్ ఏమైనా యాడ్ చేస్తే క్లోన్ లో ఒక పార్టీషన్ కనుక దానికి సేవ్ అయితే దానికి కాస్ట్ అవుతుంది. ఇప్పుడు మనము బేస్ టేబుల్ డిలీట్ చేసాము, అప్పుడు మైక్రో పార్టీషన్స్ అన్ని డిలీట్ అవుతాయా లేదు?
మైక్రో పర్సెంట్ డిలీట్
అవుతాయి. డిలీట్ అయినప్పుడు ఇప్పుడు హ్యూజ్ డేటా ఉంటుంది కదా, అప్పుడు ఎక్కడి నుంచి మెటాడేటా దాచుకుంటుందా?
మెటాడేటాలో ఉంటుంది ఎవ్రీథింగ్.
మెటాడేటాలో ఉంటుంది.
ఆ స్నోఫ్లేక్ మెయింటైన్ చేస్తుంది.
ఎంత హ్యూజ్ ఉన్నా సరే మెయింటైన్ చేస్తుంది.
Okay, usually, okay. So when we drop the table, still we can fetch the data from the metadata in the cloud services layer. Okay, from the cloud services layer. So here what is happening? So we have time travel feature, right? So we have not discussed about. So when we drop the table, so it's not going to delete any time the micro partitions. Okay, it's not going to delete immediately. It will take some time. Like suppose if you are given like time travel period, so 90 days, still the micro partition going to be stored in the that only store in the Snowflake only. It's not going to delete from the entire the database. Still, if you given time travel period like 1 day, 2 days, 3 days, 10 days, up to 9 days, we can give, right. So up to those partitions not going to delete from the Snowflake. So suppose I'm saying there is only 1 day time travel, so it is delete. We are dropping the table. So then after 1 day, those partitions also going to drop from the entire the database in that scenario. So in that it's going to it's going to delete from the entire the database. Partitions also going to delete from the entire the Snowflake. But in that scenario, we don't have the base table and we don't have the micro partition. Then clone how it's going to fetch the data? It means it's going to fetch from the metadata. So even you can clone like create table emp clone of emp clone. So even we can clone from this clone table also. Okay, select star from EMP clone of clone. Okay, so even it will have that. Okay, like that also we can do. So now what going to happen? So now it's going to like with the one more metadata file, the cloud services. This part. Suppose if you drop the this clone table, okay, the clone table. So even still we have data in the clone table. This one from the metadata. So that metadata going to drop as per the requirement of time travel feature. That is then in the time you understand. Okay, that is different. Tomorrow we're going to discuss about time travel. So usually when we drop the table, so the metadata going to the micro partitions also will drop. But if you give the extension like time travel period, then it's going to be stored in that system. So they will ask if you drop the base table, how are you going to fetch the data from the clone table? Cool. It's going to use the metadata in the cloud services. Okay. So rechain with the same link. So region with the same link, then okay. Region with the same link. I'm ending the meeting. Same link. Rejoin. I mean rejoin. Okay.